Joining us now, NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake and former Homeland Security Secretary under President Obama and former Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano. Garrett, what do we know about last night's operations and what are we expecting tonight?
Well, Anna, last night's operation made use of about 1,400 personnel, a mix of MPD officers, that's the local D.C. Police Department, other federal officials, and just a handful of National Guardsmen. They say they made 43 arrests, recovered 7 illegal guns. I wish I could put those numbers in better context, but the MPD doesn't typically break out their daily arrests, so it's hard to compare that to what we see on a normal night. Now, the presence of National Guardsmen is going to significantly ramp up over the next couple of days, where you're going to expect to see 100 to 200 members of the Guard fanned out across mostly kind of the federal, if you will, the touristy part of downtown D.C. They won't be making arrests, but the administration hopes their presence might deter crime in the days to come. All of this is really an experiment, though, that I think we're going to watch play out in real time to see what effect this has on arrests and, more broadly, since it is the point, on public safety here in the district.
Garrett, it does seem that the mayor is particularly in a sort of tightrope situation on this issue. What are we hearing from her?
Yeah, the mayor gets squeezed a little bit here. Legally, she has few, if any, options to push back against the federalization of her police force or the deployment of National Guard troops on her city streets. We are not a state. We're not part of any state in the District of Columbia, so she does not have the same authority to push back that other local officials might. She's trying to make the best case for this, essentially saying that the district will welcome the additional police resources while they are available to them, while also pushing back and telling district residents that she understands their frustrations at the way that 700,000 people who live in D.C. don't really get a say in how this is being handled. She is in a politically difficult position, though, as she's also trying to make sure that a big stadium deal goes through to get the NFL team back into the District of Columbia, something that the president could probably make much more difficult if he so chose. So the mayor trying to walk a real tightrope here politically and for her voters, the district residents, over these next 30 days.
Okay, I think we have some sound with told no sound. Thank you, Garrett. Let me bring in the secretary here with us. Thank you so much, Secretary Napolitano, for being here. So local officials often work hand in hand, we know, with the federal government, D.C. more than any state, but this is provoking strong reaction in the capital region. Take a listen to Maryland Governor Wes Moore last night.
This is a deeply expensive game that the president is using, where he's using taxpayer dollars, millions of them, to try to put on this demonstration of force that, frankly, just makes him look weak.
How do you see this takeover?
Well, I think the question is this just performative theater, or is it real? Is it a real strategic plan to reduce crime in the D.C. area? Now, we know the stats. We know that violent crime in the D.C. area is at a 30-year low. So let's start with that. But, crime then is not about a statistic. It's about victims and real crimes being committed. And so every mayor across the country wants to bring that crime rate down as close to zero as possible. But that requires a strategy. It requires targeting specific high crime areas. Ward 7 and 8 in D.C., I think, are the two most high crime areas. They're not around the mall where you've got all the pictures of the National Guard floating around. So you've got to target the high crime areas, and you've got to do some analysis about who are your repeat violators and target them. And if you have a coordinated effort with appropriate targeting, you can make a difference. But it takes more than 30 days, which is all that he has in terms of federalizing the police force.
This isn't the first time an elected leader has deployed the National Guard to try to tackle crime. We did see New York Governor Kathy Hochul dispatch Guard members to the subways last year. How do you see that comparison? Why is it different with the president doing it versus the governor?
Well, in a way, D.C. is different because here, where the National Guard is concerned, the president actually acts like a governor because the Guard in D.C. report to him and not to an elected governor. And it is true that from time to time, under particularly egregious circumstances, governors will call out the Guard to help quell when large protests grow very violent, to help with enforcement there. Or Governor Hochul in New York, when they had such an endemic problem in the subways, a temporary deployment of the Guard may be appropriate. The question here is the basis that the president is using to deploy the Guard, because his press conference contains so many misstatements that it's not really built on the factual foundation a real governor would require before going to, as Governor Moore said, going to the expense of deploying Guard. And realize that every time you deploy the Guard in one place, you can't deploy them in another. So, for example, when you're a governor, when your Guard is deployed, they're not available for other responsibilities, like, for example, when there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, a wildfire, etc. And remember, Guard members are not permanent employees. They have other jobs and other responsibilities, so you can't keep them on duty perpetually.
You're right about the priorities, and we've made that point also with the federal law enforcement agencies that have required some members to be reassigned in order to address the D.C. situation and to really ramp up the resources on the ground on those city streets. President Trump believes being tough on crime is a political winner for him. We did hear Mayor Bowser acknowledge that even if crime is technically down, people don't feel safe if they've been a victim of a crime. As far as how Democrats play this, is there risk here if they look like they're being soft on criminals? Is there risk to being outraged?
Look, I think what everybody ought to do is say, you know what? Nobody likes crime. Everybody sympathizes with victims, but we need to be smart about it. You just don't throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks.
Secretary Janet Napolitano, thank you very much for being with us.